You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today on All Things Sports with Mike Davis. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, podcast number 17. Again, thanks for joining me. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I thank you for spending your time with me. If you're listening to the restream of this podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like and comment on the podcast. New podcasts will air typically every Wednesday and Saturday. So please feel free to share the podcast on any of the social media outlets that you use. I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. So, I like to start the show off all things Atlanta and talk about sports or little happenings going on in my city. So the Falcons were in the news a little bit today because of Takk McKinley. Well, he reported that the Falcons weren't going to pick up his fifth-year option. And it wasn't really breaking news because the Falcons had kind of let the cat out of the bag around the time that Combine went down. But McKinley went on to say that his fifth year won't be picked up. Now, Takk McKinley is a defensive end. He's kind of a hybrid. He's a DN / outside linebacker in this defense that they run here in Atlanta. He played his college ball at UCLA, and he was selected with the 27th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. He's played 45 games, made 21 starts. I believe he had 6 sacks as a rookie, followed by 7 the next year, and he only had 3.5 sacks last season. That went along with, I believe, 29 tackles, and then 22 tackles the previous year before last season. So I'll be honest with you here. I'm not really a big Takk McKinley guy. Excuse me. He has underperformed his deal. And the Falcons, they got caught with their pants down with Vic Beasley. That is a name I couldn't remember on a previous podcast. But they gave Vic that fifth-year option. And I believe it was around $12 million they paid him. And Vic was just a disappointment. Outside of that Super Bowl year, his second year in the league, Vic Beasley was just a disappointment. And he just never became that guy we thought he was after that year or two. He had turned the corner. He was one of the top sack guys in the league. And it seems like Takk McKinley is kind of going through this same thing. So, but my question is this a Takk McKinley thing, or is this a scouting thing with the Falcons? Because the Falcons are wasting top picks on guys who are here for a few years and then they're gone. You got to nail. I know you're not going to nail every pick. And again, this is why this goes back to my point of I don't get too high or too low when draft time comes around. Because when it comes to football, you just don't know what you're going to get out of these guys. You don't know. And you're taking a gamble. And like I've said, if you get the guy you want, if that's who you want, perfect, great, I'm happy for you. But I don't get caught up in the hype of the draft. Oh, we got this guy, and they picked up this guy in the draft. They got him for a steal in the second round. We don't know what these guys are going to do. Situations change once you start making a little money. Some of these guys, we don't know if they want to play football for the love of the game or for the love of the money. So I don't get caught up in that whole draft thing. Takk McKinley put it out there himself. He should be credited as a journalist for putting his own news out there. But he let it be known Falcons aren't picking up his 5th-year option. I hope that doesn't stop him from going out and having a great year. You know, that's even if we have football. Granted the coronavirus situation, but other than that, nothing much going on in Atlanta. Now, I said in my previous podcast, it was the last podcast, I was going to watch The Last Dance. I wasn't able to see it Sunday, and I said I'm going to get up like an hour before I need to go to work, and I'm going to watch it. I didn't get up on time to watch it. I got up in my normal time. I did my normal routine. So I had it playing in the background to hear everything, and it just wasn't the same. Now, it sounds interesting. Again, I'm only on episode 3, and I'm assuming, because I haven't gotten far, I'm only maybe 10, 15 minutes into it. So I'm assuming this is the Robin episode, and I can't wait to see it. I'm going to watch it tonight when I get off work. I'm going to watch only episode 3. I can't watch 2 hours of this documentary. I'll try and watch episode 3 tonight, and I will watch episode 4 tomorrow. And I'm excited. I'm intrigued from what I've heard today on episode 3. I'm drawn in already. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of the documentary, and I'm ready to sit down and watch it. I just need to find the time. When you're working multiple jobs, and I'm trying to do the whole podcast thing, and you have kids. Sometimes you get caught up in life, and you can't just sit down and just watch television the way you want to. And I've said it before, I'm not really a big TV guy or whatnot. So I watch my television when I can, which is one of the reasons why I like Hulu. I like Hulu because they show network television pretty much. All the other stuff is kind of corny. I don't watch the Hulu originals. But when I want to watch network, some shows I watch on network television, I can just come back to Hulu and watch it whenever, because I'm not going to catch it. If it airs Wednesday or Friday, I'm not going to catch it. I'm just not going to catch it on those days at those times. Like Dave. I like Dave, and that comes on FX. Little Dicky, the rapper. But, I don't watch it when it airs on Wednesday, being tonight. So I'll catch that, probably this weekend. But anyway, enough of me rambling on about what I like and what shows I watch and whatever. Last Dance, I will try my best to watch episode 3 tonight. So let's move on to some other sports news. The Ball brothers, LeVar Ball's sons, they are joining Roc Nation. And I believe that's Jay-Z's agency, I believe. So in a joint family decision, Lonzo, LaMelo, and LiAngelo Ball are signing with Roc Nation under the Raymond brothers, the president of basketball for Roc Nation. They will join Roc Nation's growing roster that includes Markelle Fultz, Kyrie Irving, and Spencer Dinwiddie, among others. Can someone tell me why the middle brother is signing with Roc Nation? I mean, I'm not trying to throw any shade, because when you start asking real legitimate questions, people say you're hating. No hating here. I just really want to know, why is he signing a deal with Roc Nation? Is he playing somewhere? Does he have plans to go overseas and play once this whole COVID-19 situation is done? I just want to know. Can someone explain that to me? The middle one, I believe, is LiAngelo. That's the one that LeVar calls Jello. I believe. I think that's what it is. Well, who the guy is. So this is the one who was at UCLA, and he was stealing the sunshades overseas and was arrested. But I want to know. I really do want to know. So I see Markel Fultz is signed under that Roc Nation. You know what? I want to shout Markel Fultz out. Markel Fultz. Now, my girlfriend has said that he is a bust. She still believes he's a bust, and I've said the same thing. But I watched him. I watched him this year in Orlando, and I remember when they came up to Atlanta and played, and you know, seeing these guys on TV doesn't do it any justice as opposed when you go to the game. He is a big point guard, but his game has he's showing promise. He showed promise this past year. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but off the eye test and some of the Magic games and highlights I've seen of him this year, Markel Fultz was producing this year. Now I don't know if he put the numbers up to be a most improved player, but I wouldn't be surprised if if he was in that conversation. I just wouldn't at all. So, yeah, those guys are, as I said, the Ball brothers. They'll be signing with the Roc Nation, and they also represent Markel Fultz, which is why I just wanted to touch on him a little bit. So, going back to the Last Dance, it just dawned on me. I wanted to discuss this because me and my boys, we have a disagreement about a lot of this. And that's why this makes for great television, because it gives us a great water cooler talking points. And the question that was asked by one of my boys was, could the 1998 Bulls, who are being shown on The Last Dance, beat the 73-9 Golden State Warriors? Off top, I say yes. I don't have to go back and look at the numbers. I don't have to go back and look and see who played. My opinion is going to be yes, no matter what. You got to remember, the Bulls, this would have been a veteran team playing against an up-and-coming team. The Bulls have gotten it done before. If we put them right now, that team, 98 versus the 73-9 Warriors, just put them together and play. I don't care what era, whatever. So the reason I chose the Bulls is because the Bulls were a better defensive team, because NBA teams don't play defense nowadays. They set screens now, and guys can't fight through it. They just kind of, and guys get lost on the switch. It's one of those things where I say it doesn't do any justice watching on television as opposed when you go to the actual game and you see it played live. And you see a lot of things different when you see it live versus watching it on TV. That's one of the things I see. Teams don't play defense nowadays. That Bulls team played defense. Now, when you go into the matchups, you got Ron Harper versus Steph Curry. I'm taking the old vet in Ron Harper to D down Steph. I'm taking him. MJ versus Clay. Give me MJ. MJ doesn't have to do much work with Clay as opposed to with Harper and Steph. Steph likes to run around. Harper, he was a little older on that not older, but he was old on that 98 team. He wasn't a spring chicken. So I could see Steph giving Harper problems, but I'm still going with the old vet in Harper. Clay, MJ doesn't have to play any real defense, for real. The problem with MJ is MJ just struggled more so with bigger guards when it came to guarding them. So, but Clay, his game is not like Clay's game isn't I'm going to take you inside a game. His game is a la Reggie Miller. He's the shooter. So MJ really just has to play out on the perimeter. Now you got Scottie versus Harrison Barnes. Now, one of my homeboys thinks for some reason that Scottie Pippen would be shown that you would see a flaw with Scotty. He doesn't think Scotty can guard pretty much any of these guys like Clay, or especially Clay. He doesn't think, one of my boys doesn't think that Scotty can guard Clay Thompson. I have no idea why he thinks that. Okay, Scottie Pippen is one of the best defensive small forwards of all time. One of the best all-around players of all time. Take Scotty every day of the week. And then in this matchup, you're going to have Scotty versus Barnes. Give me Scottie Pippen. Harrison Barnes, give me Scotty every day. Draymond versus Rodman. Rodman is going to get into Draymond's green head so much that Green will end up getting 2 technicals and he's out. He's fouled out. He's gone. Longley and Bogut, that's kind of a wash. You know, it's whoever's having the better day. Now, off the bench, the key bench guys, you have Kukoc and Kerr against Livingston and Iguodala. Give me Tony Kukoc all day. Look, Tony Kukoc he's a guy who probably should be in the Hall of Fame. Iguodala will not see his name ever in the Hall of Fame. Tony Kukoc has a legitimate argument to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And let me break this down for the people out there before they say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Remember, the Basketball Hall of Fame is not the NBA Hall of Fame. It is the Basketball Hall of Fame. It is what you have done throughout your entire career. Remember, Tony Kukoc was balling before he came over to the United States and played for the Chicago Bulls. Okay? Remember, Krause was putting away money. He was saving money, which is one of the reasons why he didn't want to sign Scottie Pippen to a long deal, was so he can go out and he can sign Tony Kukoc. Tony Kukoc was a deadly shooter at that time. Now, I know shooting has changed. The game has changed. You know. But at that time, Kukoc was a deadly shooter. I'm just telling it like it is. Okay? So give me the Bulls bench over Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala. One of the other reasons why I like the Bulls in this matchup is you can change out things with Chicago as far as defensive settings go. You can put Scotty on Steph. You can put Scotty on Clay. You can put Scotty on Green. And the same thing with MJ. If you need to move MJ off of Steph, change him out with Scotty. Or you can move MJ against Clay. I think you can even move MJ against Harrison Barnes. You know, that was their 3. So there are things that the Bulls had that work for them defensively, as where you can't really do that with Golden State because they don't play defense. I don't care what anybody says. The Golden State Warriors / the NBA today, they don't play defense at all. And remember, with the triangle offense, there's no set plays. So I know it would be a half-court game. I don't know if Golden State kind of wants to just sit back and, you know, I just see them getting bored on defense. I just see them getting bored. And this is when Chicago takes over, because you can't really draw up a defense for it for real. It's different when guys can draw up game plans to beat you in the NBA playoffs, because I'm seeing you 7 games, maybe, depending on how long the series goes. I just don't think there's a game plan to stop it. And also, is Kerr coaching this Golden State team? I don't know if he runs that triangle with the Golden State team now. So give me the 98 Bulls all day, every day, because the key thing to me it comes down to is defense. And you can interchange Michael and Scotty, and Harper any way you want to, depending on who's warming up for Golden State, and they're getting hot. Same thing with Rodman. You can interchange Rodman out. Rodman can play Bogut. Rodman can play Green. However you want to run it. The Bulls create matchup problems for that Warriors team. And because the Bulls will play a triangle, a half-court game, Golden State can't get out and run all night like they like to do. And I don't know if that will bore them. And I'm just saying. I think it would bore them. And I think slowly Chicago will just start to just put this Golden State team away. That's my opinion, though. I have to disagree with my homeboy saying that Scotty, there's no way he can check Clay or Steph. I don't think so. Remember, Scotty's arms comes down to his ankles. He doesn't have to be in your face to lock you down. Scotty was one of the best lockdown threes of all time. But that's my take on it. And, I got a short episode today. Not really much going on during this midweek. So I'm going to take a break here. And I'm going to come back on the other side. And we're going to get into a little baseball. Not a lot. Just a little tidbit of baseball. Look, don't go anywhere. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I'll catch you guys on the other side of this break. All right, guys, welcome back to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I wanted to get into a little baseball talk, and this segment, this will probably be the last segment of the show. That's how slow it's been, even with the sports news. MLB, Major League Baseball, they are debating right now that they may have just only 3 divisions for the 2020 season. Now, they are considering a 3-division season with 10 teams in each division, and which each team will play only within their division. It's a concept that's gaining support among the owners and some of the executives, and it would abolish the traditional American and National Leagues and realign the divisions, based on geography. Now, I saw where I read the Braves will be in the Central Division. This is the thing that kills me about sports. You want to realign divisions according to geography. Why did they put Atlanta in these weird divisions? When I was growing up, I remember when the Braves were in the National League West. Does anybody remember that? The Braves played in the National League West. Not only that, I remember in football, the Falcons played in the NFC West. Talk to me, people. Where is that in geography that Atlanta is in the West? I remember it. Remember, like I believe in 1998, when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, the Falcons were playing in the NFC West. There was no NFC South. There was an NFC East and an NFC Central. Falcons should have been in the NFC East, but they had teams like the Arizona Cardinals who were in the West playing in the NFC East. But this is what I mean. Now, I'm not going to lie. I kind of do want to see it, though. This is one of those weird, odd things, you want to see that doesn't happen all the time. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. I want to see it. And we might face some teams that we never seen, well, I guess we can say never, obviously, because we don't. What if we're in line? We're in line with the Minnesota Twins. We don't play the Twins all the time, unless it's our year to play them in interleague play. And I want to apologize for the rain that you might hear. I love the rain. It is raining outside here in Atlanta, and I have the window cracked. And I love rain. It's gotten so bad that I actually turn on YouTube and I actually go to sleep listening to rain sounds. So please excuse me if you hear the rain right now as it is coming down. And yeah. But to what I was saying though about the three divisions in baseball, I want to see it. I think the way they're going to do the geography is dumb, but I still want to see how they're going to do it. Watch, they'll put the Texas Rangers in the East. Is that's what they'll do when that really is a central team. So, but hey, it is what it is. I want to see it. Now, I also read something that Major League Baseball is reversing their ticket policy. I didn't read much into the story, but I saw that now people who, I believe that bought from places like StubHub can possibly get their tickets back and whatnot. So you might want to check on that. Those of you that have paid for tickets that those games won't happen. So look into that. And I also wanted to touch on the NFL. I might piss some people. Well, before that, let me give you a little tidbit news before that. This is baseball. I have a question. I want to know this. And this might be the question of the day. There have only been 4 players who have hit 400-plus home runs with 10 Gold Gloves. The 4 players are Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Schmidt, Willie Mays, and none other than Atlanta Braves center fielder Andruw Jones. So does Andruw Jones belong in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I want to say yeah. The homer in me wants to say yeah, but I don't know. Andruw kind of flamed out a little bit, but I don't know. That's one of those things where I have to go back and I have to look at everything and see what's what, But he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. And then again, he just slowed down. So, yeah. But on that note, I'm going to take a break real quick. I'm going to come back and I'm going to end the show on a little football discussion I was having. Don't go nowhere. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I'll catch you after this break. All right, welcome back to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I had to go and close that window. I didn't know the rain was going to be coming down that hard, so I apologize if you hear any of the rain in this podcast, but I had to close the window a little bit. So, the last story I wanted to get into of this podcast was I've made statements before in previous podcasts that I don't pay attention much to the NFL draft because that thing is just so widespread. I don't care how much you scout a guy. As these experts like to tell you, like, what's the guy on ESPN? Mel Kiper. I'm sorry. You're not scouting 200 guys and you just know what these guys are going to do. It's not like NBA basketball. It's just not. So I found something that it intrigued me. And it said that in the Hall of Fame, in the NFL Hall of Fame, quarterbacks who have been taken number 1, only 14 of those guys are in the Hall of Fame. 14. Undrafted free agent quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, 17 players. You have more players in the Hall of Fame that went undrafted than number 1 picks. That is why I don't pay attention to the draft at all. One comes to my head, Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was not drafted. Remember that. He is in the Hall of Fame. Warren Moon, who I consider to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. A lot of people say it's Joe Montana, but I think what happens is you have the old heads, the grandfathers of my generation, okay, that just love Joe Montana. And I'm I know I'm in the minority when I say Joe Montana is not the best quarterback of all time. I'm sorry. I went and I looked at numbers for Joe Montana. Now, I don't have them in front of me, but Joe Montana is not even in top 20 in a lot of stats. Now, I know that the passing situation has changed over the years, but you look at Warren Moon. Warren Moon is still top. I believe he's top 12 in passing. Joe Montana is not in that discussion. Now, both of those guys played in a 10-year stretch at the same time. So please tell me, how is the great Joe Montana not in that discussion? His numbers don't say it. Like I said, people got caught up on the hype. Joe Montana was a comeback artist. He played with the greatest receiver of all time, Jerry Rice. And to some, he played for the greatest coach of all time, in Bill Walsh. I don't knock that. But Joe, you got to stop saying Joe Montana is the greatest QB of all time. You have to. That distinction goes to Mr. Tom Brady, formerly of the New England Patriots. He is the GOAT. Stop coming to me with just the rings. I do believe rings play a big part in a guy's career. But don't look. I'm not going to say Montana was a pedestrian. I'm not going to say that. And again, I am a guy who didn't see Montana play. I will admit that. I saw Montana play with Kansas City those last 2 years. That's when I saw Montana. I didn't really see Montana with San Francisco. But when I go back and I look at his stats, and I know the eras are different from when he played then, and now it's more of a passing league. Dan Marino is still with the top passers. When you go back and you look at records, Dan Marino was up there. I believe Dan Marino is still top 5 in passing yards. Dan Marino played in the same era as Joe Montana. Warren Moon played the same era as Joe Montana. Warren Moon wasn't even drafted. They wouldn't even draft Warren Moon. He had to go play with the Canadian League. Not sure what league it was. The USFL. Whenever that was going on. You know. So I don't pay attention to that whole the draft. Get the guy you want and just hope for the best. Hey, look, I told you guys it was going to be a short episode. It is not much going on sports-wise this week, but I didn't want to leave you hanging, as I have done some Wednesdays in the past. But look, that's all I got for you today. So thanks for taking time out of your day to include my podcast in your day. If you're listening to this podcast, the restream of it on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, and comment on the podcast. New podcasts will air every Wednesday and Saturday on Spotify. So please feel free to share the podcast on any of the social media outlets that you use. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.